Welcome back to the Special Education Insights podcast. Today, we have an absolutely phenomenal teacher, educator, inspiring leader. Her name is Sarah Harcrow. So I'm super excited for you all to be able to listen and to hear all that she's sharing. She has a ton of experience and is actually closing out her dissertation next week, which is extraordinarily exciting. So Sarah, welcome to the podcast. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about this.
Yay! Me too. So I know you sit at a really interesting intersection, especially between the leadership piece and all the research that you've done and being an educator that is truly in the field and not so much on the external, but really you are consistently in the field, which is extraordinary. How did you get into this work to begin with?
Sure. So I have known from a very young age that I wanted to be a teacher. I remember as a child, my dad, he worked for a printing business and he printed like attendance sheets and grade sheets for me. So I knew I wanted to go into education. I never imagined that I would be sitting where I'm at today, as a young college student going into education. But that was where I got my start. I mean, I knew from a very early age that I wanted to.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Now, you have a specialty also. It's not just general education.
Right. So just briefly of my career, I started as a general education teacher. I taught pre-K and then moved to first grade and second grade. I was in a very small rural district when I taught first and second grade. Through that district is where I was introduced to dyslexia and was trained and started teaching dyslexia during our intervention time. So classroom teacher, teaching dyslexia. Loved that I got that experience, was able to get a master reading teacher certificate through the state because of that district. So while I was teaching dyslexia, I was also, which I'm sure many teachers can relate, like your token co-teach class or, your token general ed teacher who takes the sped kids, which I had no idea when I started teaching that I wanted anything to do with special education. I became that teacher and instantly fell in love with special education. So from there, I decided I wanted to teach special education. Did that for a couple years while I was getting my educational diagnostician certification. So certified to give IQ tests, academic achievement tests, be able to label educational disabilities like ID, intellectual disability, specific learning disability, dyslexia. So went into that field, came to the district I'm currently at, and loved it. I was given some leadership opportunities through that and was given the opportunity to become a dyslexia coordinator and did that for a couple years and then moved into my current position as an assistant director for special education.
That is incredible, especially because, so in my field as a speech pathologist, we're not really educated on dyslexia. And there are so many things that we don't necessarily get educated on. We get the general overview, but until you are in it, you really don't have a lot of foundational tools. So it's incredible that you, especially the fact that you fell in love with it. How wonderful is that? What are some common misunderstandings about it? Because it's dyslexia and dysgraphia also, right?
Oh, yes. So often it's linked to cognition and it's linked to intelligence. And there is a huge myth is that either you have to be really smart to have dyslexia or the flip side that you're not very smart and you have dyslexia. It really has nothing to do with your IQ. It has everything to do with how your brain processes the reading process. And while there is some cognition involved in that, it's actually areas that are able to be remediated. So nothing to do with IQ. And that's the biggest misconception that can be very frustrating for educators, right?
Wow, that's really interesting. So you said it's linked to cognition and how your brain processes that language piece. Cognition, and what was the other piece?
It's the cognition piece. So specifically auditory processing, orthographic processing, right? Rapid automatic naming. And all of those pieces are able to be remediated. So it's those cognition areas that we have some that cannot be remediated, right? Like short-term memory, long-term memory. These absolutely can. So nothing to do with IQ.
So I love that you pointed out that it has nothing to do with IQ, because there are so many times, especially growing up in the 80s and the 90s, where you have these old thought processes that it has to do with this. And it's not that at all. And the fact that we now have a better understanding of it is fantastic. How has it changed the way that you think about your students and how they actually learn?
Yeah, so I think that it's all about the expectations we give to our students. When we have that misconception that maybe they're just not very smart, right? We're not going to give them the expectations to help see them grow beyond probably what they think their potential is. And so that mindset really can distort how we teach students.
Heartbreakingly, very much so. And I think also that is a really good thing, because then we get to say, okay, maybe what I learned at the beginning isn't the most helpful right now. So I know you absolutely love research and you love evidence-based approaches. How does that shape how you not only approach your students, but you approach your teachers? Because you're an assistant director also, right?
Right. Yes. So it's all about keeping my teachers, and even the teachers that I don't necessarily directly involved with, but all teachers, when we're doing any kind of training, is just making sure that I show them the latest and the greatest research, right, to support it. And so I not relying on things that maybe there's been 2 or 3 other studies done to spunk something in the original, making sure that they fully understand based on the research what dyslexia is and what that looks like in our students.
That is very, very powerful. And I love that you said the latest and the greatest research.
Yes.
Especially because things have definitely changed in even the last 10 years. And now with AI coming along, how it helps shift our thinking as educators. Yeah. You have a lot of background in also emerging with AI, I believe, right?
I do. You know, AI has been a hot topic this year in our district. Parents definitely have got the word and they're using it, right? What we're finding so often is that the information that AI is giving is not always accurate. So I wanted to explore that more just as a person and as a researcher. Where is this information coming from? And I ended up getting linked up with a couple companies to do some AI prompt writing. And yeah, it's very cool. And so what I'm focusing on right now with them is it's psychology based and cognition, instruction, like that whole piece. But what happens is we get a prompt from the LLM, so like ChatGPT or whatever it may be, and we're checking for the accuracy in it. And if it's not accurate, flagging it and fixing it, and also humanizing it, right? So it's very cool to be in this early stage of AI where I could be involved in shaping that information.
That is really cool. And I love that you are quite literally checking the information.
Yes.
For accuracy, because so many people will take it as, oh, that's what it said, and therefore I must trust it. I love that you're going back and checking it for accuracy and then also enhancing it or reframing it to really be applicable to, yes, the dyslexia field, but also for individuals and really pinpointing that. That's fascinating. Does any of your research touch on this? I know you've been doing quite a bit of research over the last couple of years.
Yes. You know, with this, we'll give it a prompt. And so they ask you to do your area of expertise. So I'll say, give me some strategies to use with students that have low auditory processing, right? And so it'll give us some information on that. And sometimes we have to cite, like if we fix something, like I'll see an activity that maybe I'm like, there's probably something better that could be done. I would correct that and then cite whatever the research came from.
Fascinating, especially because sometimes it can give you very surface level things.
Yes.
And not really deep. And I think that's absolutely, whereas we come in as educators, there is a difference. It's definitely AI. I don't see it as a replacement. I do see it as a tool.
Sure. Absolutely.
Do any of your colleagues or the people that you mentor come to you with their concerns about AI or come to you with different pieces of it? I feel like there's probably quite the mix that you get coming toward you.
Yeah, so I get it from lots of different angles. I get it from teachers who have emails sent to them from parents, and it's, very obvious that AI was used, and they need to help on how to respond to it, especially when there might be misinformation in that. I also get it from principals who have parents emailing them about different things. And a lot of times there might be like a law case that's thrown in there or a state education code. And what's funny is sometimes you look those up, right? Because none of us know all of the codes. So we look them up and then they don't exist. So those are very interesting. And then even on the admin side of it, we often will get information from parents that they're usually very angry once they get to us. And there is a lot of jargon in there. And some of it, it's pulling from sources from other states that just isn't applicable for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a huge piece also, because a lot of people don't realize that education is still state-based and there are different rules and regulations and different codes and different policies depending on the state that you're in. And especially as somebody, so of the students that I teach and with the people that I work with people in different countries. And I also work with people in different states because I'm licensed in different states. So I always tell them, check with your state, go to your school system and check with them verbally, have the conversation. And unfortunately, there are people who are still intimidated to have that conversation when really I find that educators truly want to help people in the community. They're still teaching, just like you and I. We've been teaching for at least 10 years because we want people to be educated. We want to help. And it's not a dismissal. And so I find even breaking that misconception of what people might still have in their mind of a teacher not wanting to be helpful when really we really want to be helpful. And
like that's why we're here.
Absolutely. How has it helped you, especially with all the research that you've done? How has AI helped you collect your data and even following students individually or following them in the classroom or even putting them into your your dissertation, which I find absolutely fascinating?
Right. So I will say, like, I am a child of the 80s and very nervous when AI first came out, right? So I stayed away from it when it came to my dissertation because I don't think universities right now fully understand, or I think they understand. I think it's like, where is that boundary for college students and where is its place, AI, with their work? Right. Yeah. And so I think they're trying to catch up with everybody. So I did not want to, because when I started this, AI was not a thing. Right. Oh, yeah. And so now I'm ending it and it's definitely ramped up. I tried to stay away from it. Now, when it comes to work, I encourage people to use it because it does save a lot of time. And so, especially when it comes to problem solving kids, you know, teachers get busy. And if they're not able to get a hold of myself or my specialist, I'll say, put it into AI and see what AI tells you, like strategies to use. And it will it'll get them started because of the surface answers that it gives. But it's a place to start, at least, until we can get in there and observe the student to help more.
Definitely. Has it helped you? And do you still, even in your position, do you find that you still have a lot of IEPs to do? That you found this to be really helpful in implementing when it comes to maybe goal writing or how to target it more specifically to help your teachers when they're in the classroom? Do you find that that's been helpful?
Yes, we have done a few trainings as a SPED department on how to use it for writing goals, and it has been helpful. The teachers who have embraced it have really enjoyed it. Now, I would say there's more who have not embraced it at this point than have. I think people are still very nervous about using it.
Yeah. That's really interesting because I was actually going to say, where do you feel like your educators are feeling really confident when it comes to dyslexia or when it comes to how to approach kids that have different challenges? Where do they feel really confident and where might they not feel so confident at this point?
So I think everywhere in the country, education's a little bit of a struggle right now, public ed, right? Funding is issues and a lot of extra stresses that teachers who have been doing this for a while haven't experienced before. So I think that just the landscape of the way education is right now in itself is challenging. I see our newer teachers embracing everything because they don't know any different, right?
For sure.
But I see my expert teachers really being the ones that are struggling with the different changes, the cut in funding, the really not being able to have as many teachers as we've had in the past because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is so heartbreaking because really we want to be there for the students and we want to give them as much as possible. We can only take so much. as the adults and as the teachers, literally there's a cap on what we can do. So I do follow their thought process in that piece. And then at the same time, new graduates who are coming out, they really don't know any different.
No, they don't. And yeah. And, teachers are some of the most resilient professionals that exist. And so it amazes me when new challenges are thrown at them, especially with special education, because we're constantly, there's laws changing and policies, procedures changing, and they're so resilient and they're there for the kids. Like, they're there for the kids. And so most of them will roll with the punches and go with it. But I do find like our newer teachers definitely embrace it a lot quicker because they really don't know any different.
Definitely. Have you noticed, especially at least in the world of speech pathology, because of the years during COVID where people were separated, unfortunately, and whatever side of the fence people fall on, that's not the point. Because people were separated, we're seeing a big uptick in the need for speech therapy. Are you finding the same need for kids who are having difficulty reading or needing to pick up those skills that they missed because of that window?
Absolutely. So what I have seen, and it's kind of a combination of COVID and then also dyslexia laws changing in our state and how we identify specific learning disabilities, that the window was opened a little bit more to allow more kids to qualify. So we have, from that COVID era, where those kids that were coming in, a ton of kids that are in our program. I mean, that group is heavier than any before or after, right? And yes, I mean, I'm sure it has to do with COVID. It also has to do with our regulations changing and everyone just kind of getting a grasp of what that looks like.
That's really interesting that the regulations have changed also. And I guess that they adapt over time, but to really notice that big of a difference to add into the mix, wow, that must have been quite the experience as you guys were all going through that.
Oh, it was quite the experience, yes.
To say the least, right?
Yes.
When it comes to AI, especially where we are now, being the educators and learning AI, especially at the speed of which it's evolving, which is every hour on the hour, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, so I am excited for teachers being able to use it as a tool and become more comfortable, especially like with the prompting and what it can do for you to have them save time. I mean, that's the one thing when you ask teachers, what do you want? They always tell you more time. And I think this is what's going to give it to them, where there isn't another way for us to be able to do that,
That's a beautiful point. Do you have any concerns about it at this point?
Yeah, I mean, always. So I have concerns about where it comes in ethically. I have FERPA concerns. I have things that as a director, I'm looking at to make sure that we are compliant and safe. But I think that's what scares teachers, though, actually, is making sure that it is ethical and keeping their information secure. So once we can get a handle on that and make them feel more confident, I think we'll see more buy-in with it.
Yeah, I definitely agree about the confidentiality piece. Just like with HIPAA, absolutely, I completely agree with it. All right, I have one more question for you. If we were having this conversation in 5 years, again, what would you hope to have seen change for educators and students?
So I would hope to see educators and students embracing specifically AI more to assist them with, I think students, especially with disabilities, AI is a tool that can be life-changing when used appropriately. And so I would like to see us further down the road having our students embrace it, having our teachers embrace it, and really using it for the better good.
That is wonderful. I love that, especially just even wrapping that up, just to embrace it, because it is here.
It is here, and it's not going away, right? It's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
I think that, like I said before, things are tough right now in public ed. I've been through a lot of the pendulum swinging back and forth through the last 21 years, and things will eventually get better. But I think that, like I said, teachers are resilient and they're the most incredible people. And just to keep hope up and we'll get through this.
Yeah, I agree with that. Teachers are incredibly resilient and problem solve beautifully at the drop of a hat. So I love that you had mentioned that again. So thank you so much for spending time with us here today, Sarah. For our listeners, any contact information for Sarah will be in our show notes. It was wonderful getting the time to speak with you, and good luck on your dissertation. We are very excited for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to our listeners, stay well, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.